Today we shall see the lab program number 4, that is Quicksort. Last week you have seen Mertsort program. Okay, so in Mertsort you have read an array as input, sorted in ascending order, and check the time complexity for 3 cases. Also, you have plotted the graph for that. Okay, same thing, all those things we'll be doing in case of Quicksort also. Okay, we'll be sorting in integers. See, whenever you're writing a program, first read the statements properly. What is there? What is input? What should be the output? Are you demonstrating all the output, all the questions in the problem statement or not? Are you answering or are you addressing all the situations or not? You should know. Okay, in exam, just because you have written the program and you are getting some output doesn't qualify for full marks. Okay. Obviously, this is a simple program, you'll get the output. Since it is, the algorithm is also very simple. But we will be asking a lot of things based on your output itself. So it's like, don't just concentrate on beheading the program. You should know to execute the program for all the conditions. Okay. When we come and ask for the output, you have to explain what are the things your program is doing. Okay. Showing the output is also very important. Okay. Getting the output itself is not big thing. Is it clear? So Quicksort we shall see. Okay. In the class, we have taken this array and say I will just explain the Quicksort with this example very fast, because again, same steps are there in the program. So I will just do I will refresh your memory. So how Quicksort starts? What is the first thing you do? This is the given array. For this array, we have to apply the Quicksort algorithm and sort it in the ascending order. So what's the first step? What is the first thing you are going to do? See, first thing we are going to do is pivot element. We are going to select the pivot element, and this array, you know that first element itself is the pivot element. Okay. So P65 is the pivot element. Next, initialize I and j. I will be initialized to first element. J will be initialized to the last element. See, same variables are taken in the program. Okay, there is no need to get confused. If you have understood this algorithm, clearly program in 2 lines, you can easily, in 2 minutes, you can write the program and understand it. Okay, same variables. I is taken, I is pointing to the first element, j is pointing to the last element. Algorithm works like this. You will be incrementing I value. Okay, what is the condition? Only when you will increment the I value, we'll increment the I value until a of I is greater than 65. Okay. If it is less than 65, we'll stop. Yes or no? Is it correct? Okay, we will, and then we will decrement j value until a of j is less than p, pivot element. Okay, so I was in 65, I have incremented it. A of I is greater than 65. Next, decrement j, a of j is less than 65. Next, what you are going to do? We are going to swap these 2 elements. See, in programmatically, swapping means I will store this value into a third variable and copy a of j to a of I, and then to the temporary variable, I will copy the first element. Swapping process, you know. Okay, I'm just trying to explain the algorithm here itself. Is it clear? See, first is we are going to run the partition algorithm. Okay, partition algorithm. What partition algorithm will do? It will partition this array based on the pivot element. After first pass, pivot element will go and sit in its respective place. That is, it will divide the array into 2 parts. Okay, so that is first pass will do that. Okay, that is what we are doing. We are running partition algorithm first, partition function first. In partition function, what we are doing, initialize I to first place, j to last variable, go on incrementing I value, go on decrementing j value. Okay, and we will be checking one condition, a of I should be greater than p, a of j should be less than p. So once that condition is met, what we are going to do, we are swapping those two elements, 45 and 70. Next again, increment I, decrement j. So 75 is greater than 65, 50 is less than 65. So swap these two elements. Next again, increment I, decrement j, 55 and 80, swap these two elements. Okay. Again, increment I, decrement j, increment I and decrement j. Condition is also true. 85 is greater than 65, 60 is less than 65. So that condition is also true. Swap these two elements. Okay. Now, once you increment, I is greater than j. Okay, we have reached a position where I value is greater than j value. When you arrive at this condition, this situation, what we will do next? So we will stop incrementing I and decrementing j. So we at this position will stop here. And then what we are going to do is replace this 60 with 65. Okay, a of j is copied to low value, low is copied to a of j. Is it clear? So we are at the end of pass one of that partition function. And this is the array you got. 65 was the first element. It has reached the middle position in the array. Okay. Left side elements are less than 65. Right side elements are greater than 65. So divide and conquer. So array is now divided into two parts. Okay. This is left part and this is right part. Left side elements are less than 65. Right side elements are greater than 65. Next, I will call quicksort for left side array and I will call quicksort for right side array. Again, partition function will be applied here. Partition function will be applied here. Independently, it will go on applying the recursively partition function here and here. Here, next partition element, 60 will be the first element. So it will be sorted here and then it gets sorted here. Okay. Let's see this in the program. Now I will just run the program. Later, I will show you all the options. So it is asking for size of the element. There were so I will enter the same elements. For our array elements. See, I have stopped the program after the first pass. So it is showing this output. The program I have inserted breakpoints and all. So program has stopped here after first pass. And you can observe here. Okay, 65 was the pivot element. This is the input array which I have given. 65 was the pivot element. After first pass, you can see here 65 has reached the center of the array. Is it clear? See, programmatically, I am running this same program. It is working according to the logic, whatever we have understood. So 65, it has sorted like, it has executed partition function for one time. Okay, so after first pass, you can see this array we got like this. 65 has reached at the center of the array, and first left side elements are less than 65, right side elements are greater than 65. Is it clear? Quicksort algorithm after first pass. Next. See, next, I will run it one more time. Give the same array as input. Okay. Now you can see here, after each pass, what is happening? Just a second. See here, this was after first pass. See, I have repeated elements twice. So 65 has reached here. What I'm trying to show is, see, quicksort algorithm. This is after first pass. Okay. So this is the partition algorithm. Partition algorithm, what it will do is it will take a pivot element and it will find its position in the array. That is, it will increment the I value and decrement the j value and swap the items. That is partition algorithm. Next, when we come to quicksort algorithm, inside the algorithm, what will happen? First, it will find out the partition element. Okay. So partition position, it will find out and it will partition the array. And then it will call quicksort 2 times. For the first time, what arrays it will call? When it calls for the first time quicksort, it will call quicksort algorithm for the left side part of the array. Okay, from low element to the mid element -1. Okay, and then for the right side array, it will call quicksort for the right side array. That is after mid element to the last element. Now I have executed the program. You can see, first I have done the partition. So partition is over. Next, I have executed the program only for the left side array. And you can see here, up to here, all the elements are sorted. Okay, I have called the quicksort algorithm only for the left side part of the array. So all the elements here are sorted. If I call quicksort one more time here, okay, I have commented here. So this quicksort, if you call, it will sort the right side array elements. Okay, when you call quicksort here, it will sort the elements in the right part of the array. Is it clear? Quicksort algorithm. See, this is our algorithm. Quicksort. First, we will do the partition. and we'll sort the left array first and then rightmost part of the array. So that is what you can see here. I have executed only first part of the, first we have done the partition, next executed, called the quicksort for left part of the array. So left side elements are sorted. Now, if I call quicksort one more time, it will sort the right part of the array also. Is it clear? Quicksort, how it works? See, in exam also, like if they give you the problem, you should be able to solve it like this or this itself. Array, how the values changes in the array. You can observe it in the programmatically itself. Okay, after each pass, if you try to print the array, you will understand how elements are interchanged. Okay, so at the end of when you run the quicksort for second time, that is first part of the array is sorted. One more time, if I call this algorithm, it will sort the right part of the array. Is it clear? So that is a quicksort algorithm. This is what we have studied in the previous class. Here, once you find the mid element, it will sort left part of the array, and then after it has sorted left part, it will sort the right part of the array. Okay, that is how quicksort works. So now I will explain the program. So program, is it visible for all of you? See, we shall start with the main program. See, Java syntax and all. Sir has already explained how to create the object, class, all these things. Again, I will not get into the Java basics. Okay, yes, the program is completely similar to Mersort. Only thing is logic is different. Classes, class name, everything we have done the programs in the same way. Okay, so it will be easy for you people also to remember the program, because the entire thing, if you observe the program, everything is almost similar. Okay, the way we are calling the function, creating the objects, okay, define the classes, almost everything we have kept same itself. Okay, so main, you all know program execution begins from the main. Okay, scanner, why you need scanner, you know. First thing is enter the size, it will ask for n value. um, I will just execute and show you. And again, in the read function, what we have done is, this also sir has already shown. You can read the input in different ways. Okay. So it is asking for array values. Enter the size of the array. N value I have given 6. And quick class is there for which I have created the object, and I'm calling the read function which is defined in that class. Okay, class quick. I'm calling read function which is present in that class, and in read function, what you are doing? Okay, yeah, same thing. Scanner, random. Why you need random function? That also you know. See, either you can give the input through the keyboard, or we can call the random function. It will generate the random numbers for our n values. If you give n value 20 random numbers, it can generate. For that reason, we have used random. So we'll print the message. Okay, print ln, print, all these difference also sir has already explained. Okay, however you want, you can take these things. So for loop, it will run n number of times. Each time what it is doing, it is reading one value, integer value, and it is storing it in our array A. See, all nomenclature, everything we have kept as it is. Okay, array, that is our main array where these elements are stored. I will give some values. Okay, I'm not going to give any particular in order. Okay. Our input array is 65, 53, 4. Sorted array is 2, 4, 9, 43. And we are also displaying the time. So time also sir has explained in the previous class itself. We'll be finding out the time and it is displaying the time in nanoseconds. Once you have entered the array, okay, you are calling read function, and then display function is also defined in the class quick itself. Okay, and time has started here. Before you call the algorithm, time has started, and once you return from the algorithm, time will end. We'll calculate the difference and we'll print the time. Okay, everything it is same as it is in the merge sort. Okay. Only thing is here we are calling quicksort algorithm. Okay, qs dot quick algo. So while calling this algorithm, what we are passing? We are passing low value and high value. Low is nothing but first element 0. High is nothing but n minus 1. We are calling the algorithm quick algo, okay, which is by passing the values 0 and n minus 1. Okay, so this is the algorithm. Low is equal to 0, high is equal to n minus 1. If low is less than high, okay, until this condition is true, first I will call partition function. Okay, in p is equal to partition, low comma high. So for this array itself, when you call the partition function first, what it will do, in our example for this array, 65 is the pivot element. What it will do is, 65 is the array element. Array, it will not divide it into half. 65 will go to the end of the array itself. Okay, I have given the element like that. So partition function, what it will do is it will divide the array into two parts based on the pivot element, and it will return that index value p, where is the center of the array. Okay, that partition function will return that p value. So that p value, using that p value, we have to call quicksort algorithm twice for left part of the array and right part of the array. Based on the center element, quicksort you'll be calling for left part of the array, that is starting from 0 to p minus 1. P is the center part of that array. So first left part, I will be calling quicksort algorithm once, that is the 0 comma n minus p minus 1, and quicksort algorithm for the right part of the array based on center element, that is p plus 1 comma I. Okay, so this first quicksort algorithm, when you call here, what it will do is it will sort the left elements, and when you call this quicksort, it will sort the right part of the array elements. See, this is what I shown in the beginning itself, how it is going to sort. First it will find the mid element, and then left side array, and then right side array. Okay, as I said, same thing what you have studied in the theory, same algorithm we are using, no changes to the algorithm. So we shall come to the partition. We are in the first iteration. It will call the partition function. Okay, in partition function, low value is 0, high is 0, high is n minus 1. Okay, that low value I will assign to I. Why we have taken low plus 1? Because first element is pivot element, so no need to point I value to the first element. So we have initialized I to low plus 1, second element, and high is j is high, that is n minus 1, last position, last element it will point. We have taken a variable pivot. Pivot is nothing but a of 0. A of 0 is nothing but first element, that we have taken as pivot element. And until this condition is true, that is until j is greater than or equal to I. Until this condition is true, what we are going to do, see, we are in the first phase of the array. What we are going to do, that is what we are in the beginning. What we will do, we are simply going to increment I value. Okay, while checking this condition, while a of I less than or equal to pivot element. that is second element, whether it is less than or equal to pivot. Okay, if it is true and I less than or equal to I, so this condition is also true. What we will do, we will increment I value. Okay, I plus plus, and then while a of j greater than or greater than pivot. Okay, so that condition is also true, and j is greater than low. Okay, so this condition is also true. Then we are going to decrement. We are going to decrement j. Okay, once these two conditions, once I is incremented and j is incremented, what we will do? See here. Okay, increment I and increment j. So we'll come to this position, and what we are going to do, we are going to swap these two elements, that is a of j and a of I. Okay, incremented I, decrement j. Is it clear? Increment and decrement, and then what we are going to do, if j is greater than or equal to I. Okay, yes, that condition is true. J is greater than or equal to I, so that condition is true. Then swap, that is t is equal to a of I, a of I is equal to a of j, and a of j is equal to 2. Okay, with the help of temporary variable, we'll swap the elements of a of I and a of j, and we will get back to the while loop again. See, this condition is still true. This condition will be true. Okay, until when it will be true? Till we reach this place. Okay, until we reach this situation, that while loop will be executed. Okay, once you reach that condition, what we are going to do here? Okay, at this location, what we will do? At this point, what we will do? See, once j is less than I, what we are going to do is a of j is replaced with low value, a of low value. That is, pivot element has reached the center part of the array. Okay, a of low and a of j we are going to interchange. That is, we have reached the end of pass one. Okay, at the end of first partition, see, this is the first partition we are talking about. At the end of first partition, j is pointing to the center element, that is pivot element, based on which we will divide our array into two parts, left array and rightmost array. And then we will be calling quicksort for left array as well as for right part of the array. While calling quicksort, you will pass this low value and j minus 1 value. While calling quicksort for here, j plus 1 and high value. Okay, so we'll come out of this thing, return j. That is, first partition is over. Return j means j value will be stored to p. And then quicksort algorithm you'll call for left part of the array, quicksort algorithm you'll call for the right part of the array. Is it clear? So quicksort will be called recursively, and it will sort the given array. Is it clear? See, this program is really simple. Okay, but this is for small values of n. Let's give large values of n. And observe the time. I will give n value as 90. Okay, n value as 90. What is the time it has taken to sort this array? It is 1,68,000 nanosecond. Okay. You have seen these options in the previous case, merge sort example itself. Now again 90 I will give. What is the times taken? It is 1,26,000. Okay, one more type of input I will give. Now again I will run. What is the time taken? It is 1,60,000. So what are these three types of input which I was trying to give? A of I is equal to I. What is this input? See, this is the input where you can see here array is in the sorted, input array is also in the sorted way. So output will be sorted. Okay, n value I have given 90 and input A of I is equal to I. A of I is equal to I means array will already input, we are giving a sorted array itself. So this is the time we are getting. If I give this as input, A of I is equal to n minus I, what does that mean? I'm giving array in the reverse order as input. Okay, I'm giving the array in the reverse order as input. So what is the output you are getting? What is the time it is taking? 1,58,000. So can anyone tell what is worst case, best case, and average case in case of quicksort? Based on these three inputs, we are providing the input in three types. Okay, for this input, now you can observe time taken is very less, 54,000. So what is this case? For other two cases, it was taking 1 lakh and above. Now it is just taking 54,000 nanosecond. What is this case? What is this case? Okay, input is random. If you observe the array here, input elements are random here. Is it best case or average case? Input elements are random here and array is sorted. Okay, in quicksort, if input elements are random, is it okay? Then what is the best case? If this is the average case, then what is the best case? What is the best case? Best case scenario for quicksort. Observe the output. Array is in the increasing order itself. Now I am giving the array in the increasing order itself. Is it best? Is it best? See the time and answer me. Okay. See, it is taking 1,21,000 nanosecond. How you can say this is best? I have given the sorted array as input and see the time taken. Previously, I have given random elements. Time taken was 54,000. Now I am giving the array already in the sorted order and see the time taken. See, in quicksort, it is not like merge sort, okay? It is not like merge sort. In quicksort, if you give random array elements, it will be the best case. Okay, random array elements is the best case. Increasing order or decreasing order, both are worst case in case of quicksort. Okay, increasing order or decreasing order, both are worst case in case of quicksort. See, I have in class only I have explained it. See, increasing or decreasing, it is taking more than 1,50,000. Okay, random is the best case. Increasing order or decreasing order input, it is worst case scenario. Have you understood? See, in exam, this is very important. Okay, don't like merge sort and quicksort. Both you will get confused. Whatever answer you have given, that is correct for merge sort. If the array already is present in the increasing order, that is the best case. But in quicksort, that is the worst case. If the array is already sorted, and if you give that as input to the quicksort, it's the worst case. Decreasing order, again worst case. Okay, best case is random element. Again, while giving the random element, computer while generating the elements itself, if it is in the decreasing order for random array also, it will give worst case itself. See, random function, it may give the input on its own in whatever way it wants. Okay, be careful about that also. While giving the input for random elements, sometimes there also it will take more time because we are generating it randomly. But if you give input on your own, then it will be better. But n value always it has to be very high value. Then only you can notice the difference between the timings. If you keep n value 10, 20 and all number of elements, then there will be no much difference in the output. Okay, in the time taken. Time taken for worst case will be 7,000. For best case will be 6,000 nanoseconds. Only that much difference will be there. More the n values, then all these things will matter. Okay, when we talk about the complexity itself, we'll talk about for higher n values. Okay, n values if it is high, then only the complexity things our logics will work. Okay, all of you mark your attendance fast. Is it clear? The quicksort algorithm. I hope you have understood quicksort algorithm. And all of you have to type the program, execute it, take the screenshot of the result, upload it as you have done for merge sort. 3 things you have to upload: graph, output, and source code. Okay. And also all of you have to write the record. If you have college record, write it, or you can write it in the outside record also. Yesterday I have shared the message with the CR. She might have circulated it already. See, programs and manuals will provide it at the end of the lab itself. At the end of the semester, before lab exam, we'll give the manual. Till then, you have to, whatever programs you have typed, you have executed, that itself you have to write it in the record. Okay. Already you have, see, you are sending the source code, uploading the source code to the classroom means already you have the program, right? Which you have already executed. So you have got the executable code. So that itself you have to write it in the record, whatever program you have. Okay. Manual will give at the end of the lab exam, at the end of the semester. Is it clear? Okay. I will end it here. Tomorrow we shall see the next program. Thank you.